Welcome to Invictus Porsche. My name is Basheer Zaheer. We've got this Porsche 911. It's the 997.2 Carrera 4S. And for many reasons, this is a very unique and a special car. And we find it incredibly difficult getting them in stock. But when we do, we're incredibly happy. What makes the 997 Generation 2 so special and unique? And there's multiple reasons for them, but one of them being the fact it's truly the last of the analog Porsche 911s, the ones with the soul, the ones that still exuberates the qualities from a size point of view in terms of what you found and had in the Porsche 911 from 1963. It's only about 2 inches wider and an inch or 1.5 inch longer in terms of length. And just to kind of put them in perspective, this is the 997.2. This is the 997.1, and here is the generation, the Porsche 911, the 991.1 generation. And just between these three cars right here, you're almost seeing close to, I would say, 12 years worth of Porsche history. The 997.1 were made from 2004, and the 991.1s were made until 2015. This is the .1. This is the last of the Porsche 911s that were naturally aspirated. This is the last of the Porsche 911 that were actually made by Porsche. This has got the 3.8 litre direct fuel injection engine. So does this. This has the PDK dual clutch transmission. So does this. And overall, from a performance point of view, you're looking at 15 brake horsepower between these two cars. But this being the last of the Porsche 911 by Porsche, and there is a lot of characteristics in terms of the rarity, because they were built and made around the recession time, in terms of how they like to handle, hold, and just looking at it just from a size point of view in comparison to this, volume-wise, this is a much smaller car. And what's very attractive about them is the view that you tend to find to the back of it. This view here is just classic. And they are modern classics. The 997 can be registered with Porsche for classic status. You get a couple of free car washes and a few other, benefits. Makes a difference, being able to register it for that. Price-wise, 4S, they're both actually very similar mileage. That's a Carrera S. This 4S, actually, let's start from the cheapest one and the oldest one. 2006 plate, that's a 2006 plate, yeah, 56. This is £31,000, it's sold. This is about £49,000, and I don't see it hanging around for too long. That is £50,000, and they all, this is done, I think, 43,000 miles, that's done 43,000 miles, and this is done, I think, 55 or 58,000 miles, somewhere around there. What are the differences between the Gen 1 and the Gen 2? And this is what I want to get into next. Let's just open up the rear bonnet. This has the direct fuel injection engine. What the direct fuel injection means is that you no longer has indirect fuel injection, where the fuel is put into the air intake manifold and then it goes into the combustion chamber. It just means the fuel is simply burned more efficiently in the direct fuel injection, because the fuel goes directly into the combustion chamber and the air goes directly, which is sort of purified, cleaner air, and just makes the whole process of burning the energy a lot more cleaner, leaner, and it's better for the emission. It qualifies for a lot of the emission rules that were brought into force. Also, you get a lot more BHP, 385 BHP versus 350 BHP. The 0 to 62 miles per hour times are also quicker as well. In this, you get it roughly at about 4.4 to 4.5 seconds. That's about 4.8 seconds. And the top speed also varies as well. You get a much higher top speed on this, circa 9 miles per hour more than something like that. And then overall, in terms of torque, you get 400 Newton meters of torque versus 380 Newton meters of torque. But we got to just take this out for a second, drive it, and just tell you a little bit about the driving attributes of what makes this such a special car. And also, just to kind of briefly discuss and talk to you about the spec of this. It's an experience getting into any Porsche 911, and definitely an experience in getting into one of these, because they are quite an intimate car from a cabin space point of view. You seem to feel like you've got more space in the 991. This is the generation of Porsche 911s after this. And off we go. This is a 911 that I've done probably about 250 miles in it, and it drives so precise. It drives like it left the production line yesterday, and just the feedback that you get from the suspension, from the car, just the whole geometry of it feels very stable, precise, and offers you exactly what you would want from an almost brand new, or from a Porsche 911. I think that's been well maintained, well cared for, and I like to have that feeling in a Porsche, that reassuring feeling. And one thing that also to me is interesting and unique is no matter what generation of Porsche 911 you sit in and you drive, there is a very reassuring feeling that you get through your spine, being in the passenger or the driver's seat. Now first we'll just drive it nice and sensibly, just to be able to cover the performance figures with you, and just the overall feel, handling, and the driving style of it. In the Porsche 911s, you do tend to sit fairly low, but at the same time, should you want, and you could put the seats quite back, because you've got the 2+2 layout. You've got a bit of leg room for your passengers, which means you can actually, if you don't have a passenger at the back, you can move the seat all the way back, whether you are 6'7" or 6'8". That's quite a nice thing to have. And also you've got a lot of space there, both behind the seats, or you could put the seats down to put, your golf gloves or anything else, from a shopping point of view. So a practical car in that sense. Now, performance-wise, this has the 3.8 litre engine that produces 385 bhp. And bear in mind, this is still naturally aspirated. It still has the flat 6 boxer engine. Torque-wise, this gives you, through that 3.8 litre naturally aspirated flat 6 engine, 400 newton meters of torque. The 0 to 62 miles per hour is possible in 4.5 seconds, and the top speed from memory is about 185 or 184 miles per hour. This having the smooth leather steering wheel, this still, as a matter of fact, was an optional. The fact it's got the sport design smooth leather steering wheel with a PDK bezel. It's got the multifunctional capability here as well. If I wanted to actually go down a gear, simply push that button in. We went from 4th to 3rd, now to 2nd gear. Now I'll put my foot down so we can hear the exhaust. And it is an incredibly efficient power that you feel through the transmission, through the 4-wheel drive system, and of course it's a rear engine Porsche, meaning the engine is behind the rear axle, and the transmission, as a matter of fact, is here. I mean, where my hand is, probably just underneath my thumb. Let's press the sports button. Sport chassis is on as well. I mean, I was in 4th gear doing 70 miles an hour, and it went to that kind of a speed so quickly. And nothing like what you normally get from a power delivery point of view in a BMW M4 or an M5 or a Mercedes C63. I mean, these are so well planted. The feedback and the grip is next to none. I mean, it does precisely what you want it to do. I want to stick to that line, or stay onto that line. I will. The car will deliver what is expected of it. soon as I put my foot down on the throttle pedal, my head goes, and that in itself is quite rewarding in the Porsche 911s, and especially the 997.2. And overall, it also has all the modern things you need. You know, heated seats. It's got the air conditioning or the heated climate control system, and all of that effectively works really, really well. And it's surprising also to kind of see the interior of it and still find a lot of analog aspects to it. Everything that you find on all the surface panels, they have buttons. You know, you've got this ergonomic feel to the car. You know, anything you want to operate, turn on, switch off, it's done through all the various buttons that are all over the car, just here in this place. This is us doing 78 miles per hour in 5th gear, and I'm not breaking a sweat because it holds so well. And right now is coming into sort of mid-March, weather is pretty good, and definitely the perfect all-rounder of a Porsche 911. It's a 4S, four-wheel drive system. Not that it's a permanent four-wheel drive system, but it's there when you need it. The wider rear end is reassuring. It's a much more planted drive overall. Spec-wise, this is of course the Carrera 4S. It means you've got to pay a little bit more to buy one of these. And 4S, you get the 3.8 litre engine rather than, I think from memory, the 3.6 litre engine. More bhp, more torque, and an overall, from a size point of view, you get these wider hip, these wider arch lines. They just sit so beautiful. They've got an absolutely phenomenal way of looking from the back. You've got the sports tailpipe, the quad sports tailpipes, that actually comes in as standard. Now, this is finished in the basalt black metallic paint color. In terms of the alloys, you've got the 19-inch sport design alloys. And of course, they're finished standard with the rad calipers. Now, let me just invite you in onto the inside. This is where it gets a bit more entertaining. You're welcomed directly by the sports seats. There are something around the lines of 12-way electrical adjustability with lumbar support, and they're heated. You've got the smooth leather sport design steering wheel with the PDK bezel there. So when you put actually in Sport Plus, that sort of lights up there, illuminates there on the display. It's multifunctional connectivity with cruise control. It's done 43,000 miles, 7-speed PDK dual clutch transmission, which was a big thing, a big hit. And from a sound system point of view, it's got the Bose sound system, and should you want, you can actually program your key for the seats to adjust automatically as soon as you turn on this car. And then obviously the PCM is now the touchscreen PCM with both mobile Bluetooth connectivity for your telephone calls, and the navigation system is much better. Right now, of course, it's not active, but it is working. And that's onto the inside of it. These are built incredibly well. You've got the Alcantara headlining, that's also a standard feature. And with the Porsches, this has the 2+2 layout. So incredibly practical car, especially when you've got two little ones. And the other kind of mechanical spec items is of course the Sports Chrono Plus package. You've got the Sport Plus button, the damper control button there as well. So that stiffens your dampers and gives you, from a sport chassis point of view, a more engaging drive. And what makes it even further more engaging is the fact this has got the hydraulic steering wheel. And this is the last of the generation of Porsches that had the hydraulic steering wheel. The generation after, which was the black 991 in the corner there, that's got the electronic assisted steering wheel. And if we open that front bonnet there, you've got a nice boot space where you can fit two medium-sized suitcases, and you've got the xenon headlights with the LED daytime running lights. And that's everything you need to know from a spec point of view. and from what this 911 has to offer you, which is in pretty good spec, incredibly good condition, very low owners, very well looked after. Let's go through the paperwork next. Now, in terms of paperwork, this has got an incredibly low number of owners. I mean, it's quite rare for Porsches to have such low number of owners. It's 2 from new. The first owner had it from when the vehicle was brand new in 2020 until 2013. And that second owner from new has had it since 2013 up until very recently. It also has a very good Porsche and a specialist service history. And all the invoices since, 2013 are here from a servicing point of view. And all I can add to this vehicle is just to kind of praise it and talk about what a phenomenal condition it's been in. Just to kind of take you through the service history. The first service was done in 2012 at 5,000 miles, and then the second one was done in 2014 at 9,000 miles. And then there on, the third one was done on the 9th of the 12th, 2017 at 22,000 miles. The fourth one was done in 2019, 33,000 miles. The fifth one, which is the last one that was done in 2021. And it actually brings me to that fifth service, and just to kind of take you through the invoice in terms of the kind of works it's had done at the same time as well. It's had basically the oil cabin filter, the sump plug, and just the other item that was done was the brake fluid was replaced. Additionally, it's had practically 4 brand new tires as well. They are brand new. Yes, this had a bit of mileage on since they were replaced in 2021, but the tires are in practically new condition. And at the same time, the front discs and pads, they've got about 60% life remaining. So does the back. So overall, the car is in absolutely stunning condition. Now, let me just take you through a bit more paperwork here as well. Previously, it's had the front coolant pipes replaced. And in the service in 2019, it's had kind of big items work done, such as, again, a major service, spark plugs. The exhaust system was completely overhauled, the exhaust sleeves and the fixing, and brake fluid was done. And then you go to the invoices prior to that. It's got even the MOT invoices. This was the purchase invoice. It's just quite an interesting topic to discuss that. He'd paid £55,000 in 2013. Right now we're in 2023, and it's held value incredibly well. I mean, there aren't many cars that hold value the way they do. These 997.2C4Ss, the Carrera 4Ss, coupes, they're just few and far in between. They were made around the recession time. Therefore, not many were bought out, and those that were purchased came in really well spec'd and well looked after, well maintained over the past number of years. And they've just gone up and up and up in value. And I reiterate the point of what's so unique about them. It's the fact that it's the last of the Porsche 911 that is analog. Hydraulic steering, just the 4-piston monoblock front and rear calipers. It requires a lot of driver's engagement. And the next generation after that, 991, yes, in terms of the chassis, it being only a tiny bit wider and longer, but it's massively a bigger car. And when you actually think about the original Porsche 911 in 1963 and you compare it to the shape of this 997.2, you'd be shocked to realize that it's only about an inch wider, an inch longer and 2 inches wider. Barely a difference there. And that just goes to show that the 997 truly are the last of the pure, proper Porsche 911s with a character, with a bit of a soul. And I'm so glad you've been able to join me for this experience of actually reviewing this. Don't forget to subscribe, and whatever money we've made through you watching this review gets donated to a UK registered charity. We use that money for humanitarian projects in Afghanistan, i.e. at the moment we are in the process of building a school. We built quite a few wells, and some of the money gets distributed to orphan kids, hopefully giving Afghanistan a better chance and giving the people there a better chance at life. And you watching these videos help. Just from this channel, in the last 28 days, my colleague behind the camera said we earn £120. £120 in Afghan currency. My cousin will tell you this. He was here. He was in Afghanistan 9 months ago. How much is £120?
13,000. Afghanis.
13,000 Afghanis. What can 13,000 Afghanis buy you?
Yeah, you can buy like everything, food package. Shortly, I will tell you.
Yeah. Now, how many families can you feed with 13,000 Afghanis?
4 families.
4 families. For
Yeah.
how long?
For 1 month. Yeah.
For 1 month.
Yeah.
So, you know, that 28 days of just posting YouTube reviews is able to, as you've said, you know, a family of how many people?
Like 7 members in the family.
So 7 by 4
because
families.
everything is cheap in Afghanistan. But
Yeah.
there's very poverty.
Yeah, thank you.
That's the point.
You used to be one of our charity coordinators
Yeah.
back on the ground in Afghanistan.
Yeah,
Now you're here in England.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think about England?
Yeah, England is a nice country. People is nice. Everything is very good. I like it. I recently moved from Afghanistan, and I hope everyone will help our charity. When I was in ground, we were helping with more people. We were supporting disability, the people who had disability. We enrolled orphan in different schools also. We had like different projects, water well projects.
And we still have these projects. Your brother is taken over now.
Yeah, my brother working ground. We still have this project, and I'm very grateful, and I'm very thankful from Noble Connection. They were always supporting Afghanistan people.
Thank you.
So, thank you so much.